walk you through this biodiversity lab that we've got here. So if you look on my screen, I've got three things linked for you here. The first one here is the resources that you might need to do the activity. The second one is the actual quiz part that you're going to do. And then the last one here is the links to more information that you'll need to do the assignment. So I'm going to open all three of these up in separate tabs, and I've already done that, so I don't have to show you how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, right click one of these, open in a new tab. Where is that at? Open link in new window or open link in new tab is a good way to go. So here we've got the instructions. Here are the links, and here are, oops, that's links too. I missed one. Let me go back quick. So here we go. Here's the actual quiz. Open link in new tab. There we go. Once that comes up, I'm going to just go ahead and do the review here. When you click to do it, it might look a little bit different. So here's question one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, I think there's 20 questions maybe. Yeah, there's quite a few. They're not that hard though after you get the feeling for this. If you have a QR code reader on your phone, you can scan this little thing right here and it will take you to a page. I'll show you that page here in just a second because you don't even need to do that if you just want to click on the page. Then we have a series of questions here. We have the common name, the scientific name, and then kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. That's how we classify organisms, right? This is from the biggest grouping all the way down to the finest, most specific species grouping. So let's talk common name, scientific name first. The picture here is of some sort of coral. That's a good hint right there that it's a coral. If I click on common name, I'm left with some choices. Now, most of the time, the common name is going to be something that you can say that's pretty common, that is, i.e., not in a language you don't recognize, right? So looking at all these things here, I can probably make a guess that the answer is going to maybe be club finger because the rest of the words are all in Latin. So if I click club finger there, how would I know if I'm right on that? Well, I could just search and see if there is something called club finger coral. It's hard to say that 5 times fast. So I could do that in another tab, or I can take a look at some of the information here. Let's take a look at that really fast. If I go to the instructions part that you've opened in another tab, it's going to walk you through basically everything I'm telling you here, but if I look at the next page, it has the breakdown of all the animals that we're looking at. These are all animals. They're all kingdom Animalia. So this first one here, it says Porifera, and then over here to the side, it's got some things listed out here. These are the phyla right here. So on the sides, we've got Phylum Porifera, Phylum Cnidaria, Phylum Platyhelminthes, and so on and so forth. On the other side, we've got the arthropod phylum, the echinoderm phylum, okay? And then for the most part, these are the classes over here. So that'll help you guys out when you're looking for the classes. So let's take a look. We had in our picture that we were looking at coral. So let's see if I can find something that looks like coral over here. These kind of look like corals, but if I read close here with the tiny type, it says something about sponges. So that's not going to be it. Let's take a look here. Anything else that kind of looks like coral, right? There's no pictures that look like coral, so that's going to be difficult. Until I find out the phylum, it might be difficult to figure out what the classes are, okay? So let's kind of go back here to the next part, the QR links. So you can just open this up and you might get this view here, but if you click on the site, it should take you to the site. So here are all of Mr. Balls' notes for these things, and you're welcome to search online or use this. This has all the information. The QR code reader will take you here, I believe. So if I look over here on the sides, I've got, let's see, animal phyla. Notice that one. So this is basically the picture he gave you before. It's a little harder to see here, but if I click on coral, because that's where I want to go, coral is one of the phyla of animals, and I look through here, I start reading, I'm looking for words I might recognize. Corals are colonies. They belong to the class Anthozoa. Ooh, there's a pretty good word to know there. Okay. Got some other words in here that I might want to recognize. Some nice pictures. Okay, that's about what I've got. Sometimes you'll actually have to look at the picture to get some information. So, oh, this is a good hint. Club finger coral. There we go. Now we know right away that we've got the right common name. So let's go back to our quiz. You're going to be jumping around a lot, so having some tabs open will be helpful. Good. Club finger. That's the common name. Now the scientific name. Whole bunch of choices again. These are all the same choices every time here, by the way. So once you use one, you're not going to use it again. So we've got here choices. Let's see here. For the scientific name is going to be a combination of the genus first and then the species second. Okay, that will be the scientific name. Typically, scientific names, the first part, the genus is capitalized, the species is lowercase. So we've got some hints now. Do we see any things that have two words in them that have the first word capitalized and the second word lowercase? Oh my goodness. Porites, porites. There we go. So that's my scientific name. Now, if I didn't know that, I could go back over here. So I'm in this now. I could go back over here and I might find it on this information here. I don't see it here. Maybe it's in tiny type on the picture, but I don't see it. So anyway, I've got a pretty good hint there that that's the scientific name, because it's the only thing with two words in it, right? Other than club finger, which we already used. Now the kingdom, that's the top level of organization. Here's a good hint. Every single one of these that you're looking at is kingdom Animalia. They're all animals. So guess what the answer for this one's going to be every single time? That's right, kingdom Animalia. Now the phyla. So that's the next step down from kingdom. The different phyla can most easily be found on this page here. So this was the instructions that we had. So now we know that we are dealing with one of these phyla over here. Let me see, I don't want to get ahead of you here. We don't have classes here. If you can recognize some of these words on this paper, that will help, and I already see some, but let's go back to the QR code link. I'm going to get rid of that. This is that link from there. So, looking along here, it says the class Anthozoa. So that's super helpful because that's exactly what I'm looking for. So here's class. I'm going to jump around here a little bit. Here's class Anthozoa. Okay, make sure some of these words are pretty similar, so be careful you've got the right ones. So here's porites and here's porites. Same word, different capitalizations. So I'm going to put Anthozoa here for the class. Now how am I going to get this dargone phyla? So to find the phylum, let's go back to that page that we had there. So this was the instructions page. You're going to keep looking back at this thing, by the way, so you might as well open it up in a new tab. Do you see any that have Anthozoa? You might have to search, but there it is right there. So this is a cnidarian. Now, unfortunately, the picture is of a jellyfish, so it's not looking like a coral, but they are the same phylum. So cnidaria, things that have stinging cells, nematocysts, tentacles. Okay, you might not have known that about corals, but they're cnidarians. The C is silent. I'll go back over here. Phylum, Cnidaria. Now I have kingdom, phylum, class. They gave me order and they gave me family. You may not always have those, so you might have to look around a little bit to find them. Now we need genus and species. Well, guess what? If I know the scientific name, I know these. And also, if I knew these, I would know the scientific name. So either or, the first one's the genus. It's going to be the capitalized one, porites. The species in this case happens to be the same name as the genus. It won't always be that way. This is the lowercase porites. Okay, I've got all those answered. Now I have one more left here. It's a question about, interesting thing about corals, that many have microscopic algae called blank, living in their tissues that produce food through photosynthesis. Okay, I can make a guess here. There's only a couple words I haven't used. I haven't used this word and I haven't used this word. So I could look both of those up online to find out what the heck they are. In fact, that would be a method you could use to figure out what all these things are. But one of these words I'm not going to use, right? It's just an extra word. So to figure that out, most of these answers are going to be not here necessarily, although they might be in the reading, little tiny type right there, if you can even make that out. They are also going to be on these sometimes. So right here, they've got zooxanthellae, living in their skin that photosynthesize and produce food. Boom. Oops, zooxanthellae. There we go. The first question is done. Unfortunately, you can't, it looks like, submit this until you have finished the entire thing. So I'm going to make this so that you can have multiple attempts. So if you're partway done, you don't have time to finish, you could maybe write down your answers, or that might be actually be the best way. But I'll give you multiple attempts at this. You could always write down your answers so you know ahead of time. That way, if you have to go back to it and redo it, you've got all your answers written down. Let's just take a gander here quick at question number 2, just for the heck of it. We've got the common name, Ascaris, right? We need the scientific name. Okay. In this case, the common name sounds a little bit weird, and it is part of the Latin name. That happens sometimes, so don't be thrown off by that. That's probably why Mr. Walls gave that to you. You know the kingdom already. The phylum you're going to have to look up, so it will be helpful to know the common name here in this case. But if we look back to this page here, we're going to find some things that might look similar to that. You're going to have to want to keep looking back at this. So that was a worm-like looking thing. So let's look at some of these worm-like looking things over here, and that might be kind of the way to go. Okay, so take a look at that. Also, you can of course open this up, and we could click on, oh look, Ascaris. There we go, and a whole bunch of information on that. Okay, so that will help you out as well. It looks like you actually put all the common names at the top here. Let's double check that. Yep, it put all the common names up here for you. Okay, so that'll be a good way to check that. Once we figure out scientific name, oh look, it's pretty easy, right? We're going to know the genus and the species. And then there's a question here about it that you can probably get off of this page. Okay, so send me messages if you have any questions, but good luck.